Hello, one and all. It's me, SharnOfTheDEAD, and as always, I'm joined by my old good buddy, old pal, Chris Sumner. And today,
hello,
Chris. Right, what we're talking about today, Chris. You know what? You could do this one. You could take this one by the reins because my mouth has been all over the place today. So you could, what we're doing, what we're talking about, as you can't tell from the picture on the screen.
Today, it's the top 10 movie games. Basically, movie games, licensed games. Are generally terrible. If you think about the original Spider-Man game, that was awful. Or just anything that was a quick tie-in to films in the 90s or the early 2000s. They were usually pretty crap. Yeah. But occasionally, they'll squeak through a little gem, and we've compiled our top 10 of those gems.
Oh my god!
Do you want to go first, or
I'll go first? Oh. Yeah, you did the announcement, Chris, and I'll do the number 10. But first of all, I just remembered it's not on the list. It's probably not on your list. But Jumper, do you remember that? That was shit. Okay, here we go.
Number 10.
Okay, Chris, my number 10. Right, starting up from this is a film I really liked as a kid, and it's Street Fighter the movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
a good film.
Was it Kylie Minogue as well in that?
Yeah, Kylie Minogue was in it. Good film. Good film in the same respect as, like, I don't know. It's a terrible film. To be honest, a lot of people like Street Fighter. I'd say some people put that up there with Mortal Kombat.
It's right up there with the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Because the thing is, though, the difference between this and Mortal Kombat is that this actually had its own game, didn't it? It actually had a Street Fighter movie game, and it was not very good. The movie was better than the game.
That's why it's 10.
Fair. Yeah, that's why it's 10. But I remember playing, because you could play as Jean-Claude Van Damme, and, you know, it was all pretty cool. And then I remember I used to always get stuck on this character, and it was like Bison's Apprentice. I don't remember the guy's name. But he was so hard to beat, and he wasn't even a Street Fighter character, and he was like in the game.
He was just a movie character.
Yeah, and he was so hard to beat, and I never got to the end.
So did you never get to M. Bison?
No, I remember you used to fight him at the beginning, and you couldn't beat him, or at least I couldn't beat him. And it was like it started off, and you fought him, and it kind of tried to have the same story as the film. But I remember it not being very good at all. So yeah, that's my number 10.
That's why it's 10.
Yeah, that's why it's 10.
Okay. My number 10. Again, it's a game that's very ambitious. Actually tries to tie together quite a few different films from a studio I really love. But much like you've said, it falls down a lot of places, or at least it does for me. And that game is Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts, loved by many, absolutely loved by many, and I love the fact that it tries to weave all these different Disney stories together. But for me, purely on a gameplay mechanic, it just falls to pieces. It was terrible to play. The camera was awful. You needed to equip a certain item or ability to see the enemy's health, which should just be a given. I never got to the Little Mermaid level because I couldn't get through it. It was just so annoying. I just wanted to see Ariel.
Oh.
And the fact that there were too many Square Enix style androgynous Japanese kids with stupid haircuts, because it was the blending of Disney with Square, so there's lots of Final Fantasy characters in there. And again, you got to respect that they're trying to blend two big companies with lots of iconic characters from two different mediums, and that's why it is on the list. It's very ambitious, but just it kind of fell apart for me.
Yeah, so because it never had like a direct film. I mean, I would have thought Kingdom Hearts would have made it on the big screen as its own, as the game would have been. I thought they would may have done something like that, experimented.
No, Disney know better.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a wonderful
maybe
soundtrack.
Maybe video on demand trash.
It's got a great soundtrack. I enjoyed the game personally. I've not played the second one though, but I'm waiting for the HD remaster if it ever comes to PS4. I don't know if it will. But I remember playing the first one, and I really enjoyed it. It made me realise how bad the controls really were. But once I got the hang of things, I was just enjoying going from world to world, and how the worlds are really well created. You know, Nightmare Before Christmas, Tarzan, Peter Pan. You know, all the different places. It was really cool, and eventually it felt like the Disney characters, there was more of a presence than the Final Fantasy characters later on in the game. So I personally really enjoyed it, but yeah,
I never got there though. Early on, I was just looking at these androgynous teens, and it annoyed me.
Yeah, no, that's number 10. Okay.
Number 9.
Number 9, Chris. My number 9. It's a PlayStation 1 game, and it's one I played a lot, and it's one you may have played. It might be even on your list. I don't know. It's Alien Trilogy.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Yeah, it was a good one, and I think it was one of the, even though it's an old game, it was actually quite a good movie license game because it had a lot of content. There's loads of levels, and it was actually quite scary. Yeah. And it's kind of weird saying it was quite scary, but you started off with a pistol.
It was. I remember when I finally found that shotgun, I immediately felt safer.
Yeah. And eventually you get a pulse rifle later in the game as well.
Eventually, when you look up all the cheat codes and you just get every weapon, you get the smart gun.
Smart gun, yeah, that was awesome. It was a good game, and there was a lot to it. It had how Doom had stupid amount of levels. This did too.
Yeah, but the fact that they were all referencing different parts of the first 3 Alien movies, and the fact that it doesn't have the stink of Alien Resurrection over it.
Yeah.
Alien Trilogy.
No resurrection there. But it was a good, solid game. I remember playing it. I think a lot of people may have played it, and it is one of their favourite Alien games.
I certainly did. It was one of the first bundle games that I got with my PlayStation. Even though, what certificate was it? Was it an 18 or? The films certainly were, but my parents knew I wasn't going to turn into a psychopath just by playing it, and they knew I liked the films, so they made sure I got that. So that was there from day one of owning a PlayStation. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I'm playing it at my uncle's, and I used to play that quite a lot when I used to go around, and I borrowed it a few times. But I could never beat it unless I cheated, because it was really hard. It was a hard game to play.
I remember you'd meet the Queen quite soon, actually, and I could take down a Queen, and that felt like enough. After you'd done that, you've earned the right to cheat and look at all the levels.
Yeah, because there's freaking loads. There's loads of levels in that game, and it did actually have... I know you say it did have a stink of resurrection on it, but later in the game, you actually fought enemies that looked like the baby monster, whatever it was.
The newborn.
Yeah, the newborn.
Well, I remember you'd get to Alien 3 levels, and there'd be the dog alien. Yeah. But I remember there was nothing quite as terrifying as when a pixelated facehugger would crawl up on the screen.
Yeah, and then if you did die, you'd have that little CGI death scene at the end.
Yeah, there were quite a few different ones.
Yeah. That's quite a good game, actually. Yeah. Anyway, that's my number 9. What's your number 9, Chris?
My number 9, surely, just on concept alone, this game gets on the list. Mm-hmm. And when I tell you the title of the film, you're going to know the style of the game. And it's simply Fight Club. There
was a
fighting
Club game?
A Fight Club, yeah, and all the characters from the movies were there. Meatloaf was in there. I think it was either PS1 or PS2. I'm thinking really? PS1. But it had everyone. It had Blondie, Jared Leto's character. It had Meatloaf's character, Bob. It had Tyler Durden.
I did not know about this.
And it's awesome. And you were just in these little basements beating the crap out of each other. And that's all you need to know, really. It's Fight Club, an actual Fight Club, an actual beat 'em up.
Wow, I didn't even know that existed. Okay, well, so that's it, and that was at number 9. Was it number 9?
Yeah, I'm hoping there's a few games that you don't know existed. I'm hoping you'll look at a few of mine on the top 10 and immediately want to play them after this.
I've got a few on mine actually. So anyway, let's see what's next.
Number 8.
My number 8, Chris, is a game that I used to play with my brother-in-law quite a lot. It may have been on the Sega. I can't remember. I can't remember what platform it was, but it was an old one. Bruce Lee, the Dragon, Bruce Lee story. Do you remember that film?
I do. Enter the Dragon.
Enter the Dragon. That probably had its own game, but Dragon was obviously the story of Bruce Lee's life that pretty much portrayed more or less none of Bruce Lee's life. I mean, I don't remember when Bruce Lee fought a samurai, for fuck's... I don't know where that came from. But this game was based on that. And it was actually quite a fun fighting game. You could get the special fly kick abilities. You could get, like, instead of, I think he had nunchucks or a chain. And I remember playing through it and beating the hell out of my niece on it. And like, I really enjoyed playing it. It was a good little fighting game, and it was Bruce Lee. And and
he's still got appeal because isn't he in the latest UFC game? They've put Bruce Lee in there. Yeah,
they put Bruce Lee. He's still about, and they're currently making a new documentary on him. He's had a few other games. There was a Bruce Lee game that came out on the Xbox when the Xbox came out. But apparently it wasn't very good or something like that. And he's still in there, even though he's been gone for so many years now. He keeps popping up in video games, which is quite nice. So yeah, that's just number 8, Dragon Bruce Lee story. If you may have played it back in the day, and you probably did enjoy it as much as I did. Anyway, what's your number 8, Mr. Chris?
Okay, my number 8, very much in the spirit of my last one, Fight Club. This is another fighting game based off a franchise, but I know it's a franchise that you and me absolutely love. And this game is Rocky Legends.
Rocky Legends. Yes, there was
You
a
get
Rocky
to relive
game.
all the classic fights from, and this was PS2, all the classic fights from all the films, and you could even make up your own. You could either just play as Rocky and fight Dolph Lundgren and fight Apollo Creed and fight Clubber Lang, or you could just have all these big bosses from all the movies fight each other. And yeah, just all the big characters from that film franchise, even like little ones like Spider Rico. I can't remember if you could actually walk into the ring as Apollo Creed to living in America, but hopefully that was there. Because that was the best part of Rocky 4.
Oh, wow.
That and the training montage.
That's one thing I've not got, is that on Blu-ray either, so I need to get the Rocky films on Blu. But yeah, I do remember that game. I never had it. I never played. I think I might have played a demo when I was younger, because I did like boxing games back then. But this didn't this come out like in the last few years of PS2's life? It was quite a late game, wasn't it?
All I know is it was before Rocky Balboa. You didn't have the
Right.
champ from Rocky Balboa.
Yeah.
So
I
it was
do
before you
remember
could
that.
unlock Old Man Stallone.
Old Man Stallone.
That should have been DLC.
I don't know.
Press X to pay respects to Adrian's grave.
Oh no! Yeah, that'd be today if it was released today. Quick time event. Press X to pay respects. Call of Duty style.
Press
Okay,
square to shut Mickey up.
Shut Mickey. Okay, that was number 8.
Number 7.
Okay, Chris, number 7, right? This one had to be on the list. And I think it counts, technically. It's a Star Wars game, back from the GameCube, Rogue Squadron.
Yes.
Which was...
I was tempted to put this on
It's one of
but I
them.
didn't know, because it wasn't based on any of the films. It was kind of its own spin-off.
Well,
I think it's based on some of the Star Wars novels.
the one I played was...
Actually, if it's the one that I've got and still own, actually, it might be. Take me through it.
Is it Rogue Squadron 2? I know there was a 3 of them. I can't remember how many they were. This is just... I remember playing it. This is all I remember. I remember there was levels where you had the Millennium Falcon. I remember there was a level where you was on the speeder bikes and you was racing through the forest and you had to dodge through the trees, which was absolutely awesome. I remember the snow speeder level where you went round... the AT walkers to trip them over.
Were there any levels where you got to play as characters on the ground? Because I remember I had a Rogue Squadron where you could play as characters from the films. I remember there's a level where you could run around Cloud City as Princess Leia shooting things, and it was amazing.
I think so. See, this is fake because it's so long ago, but I remember it being really good. I remember, in the X-Wings, and I think there's one where you had to fly through. There's actually quite a few good Star Wars games like that.
Yes, I had Rogue Squadron 3, I think, but when you bought 3, you got as a bonus all of Rogue Squadron 2 as a multiplayer side mission, which is pretty good.
Wow. I remember there was one where you was on the Death Star, and you had to go through the Death Star, and you had to dodge up and down and stuff like that, and go and take it out. Was that?
Yeah, was that the
Squadron?
last level? Was that Return of the Jedi, where you were Lando?
No, that was the start. It was the beginning of the game.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the first Death Star. I think it was the opening level where you do the trench run, but then I think the end of the game as well is blowing up the next Death Star.
That game was awesome, man. I remember.
It was good. I remember it had good multiplayer as well, where you could challenge your friends to dogfights.
I just don't remember. Yeah, because I remember it was multiplayer. Because I remember playing it with my dad, and we fell out over it because I got annoyed because it kept crashing. But I remember. I just don't know what number it was, but I remember there was a Rogue Squadron I freaking loved, and that's my number 7 after Star Wars.
Okay.
So. What's yours? What's your number 7, Chris?
Okay, well, mine, making up for the horror that was Kingdom Hearts, is a Disney game which was fantastic, but it predated Kingdom Hearts. This was back on either the Sega Master System or Mega Drive.
Oh, I think I know what you're going to say.
Or if you had it on Nintendo, you could play it on the SNES. But it's Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, it's not the one I thought you were going to say.
No,
okay.
no. And Beauty and the Beast, the reason why Beauty and the Beast is such a good game is if you had it on Nintendo, you'd play as the Beast. But if you had it on Sega, you'd play as Belle. So it's 2 different games based on the same movie. But the one that I really included on this list was the Sega one. Because you started in the little village as Belle, and you had to go around the village, you had to sing the song, you had to go into the library, and you had to basically try and avoid Gaston, which is awesome. Because he's my favourite part of that game. And then when you finally get out the village and you get past him, you see there's this giant boulder, which Belle is just too weak to push. So you have to go all the way back into town, talk to Gaston, and you basically have to flatter him. You have to play to his ego enough to get him to roll this boulder into the lake to make a bridge for you. And it's fantastic because it's right up there with the Mass Effect style dialogue trees, but it's the earliest example of that kind of thing that I can see, because you can fail. You might not be able to sweet talk Gaston, but that's just a fantastic thing to see. I discovered it years later. I didn't play it at the time, but going back after having already fallen in love with Mass Effect to see similar gameplays in a Disney film with my favourite character Gaston, it was fantastic. Wow. And then the fact that if you had a Nintendo, you could have played it all from the Beast point of view as well. It was just a really nice, strange point in gaming.
That's strange. But just talking about, do you have any more Disney games in your list?
No, but I can think of either. Have you got?
I thought you was going to say. It's not on my list, but I just remembered it as you were saying, and I thought, oh shit.
Is it going to be either Aladdin or Lion King? Because those were 2 big ones as well.
Lion King. Do you remember that?
Had both of them. Yeah, it was awesome.
I remember that being
couldn't get past.
Hard though.
Couldn't get past the elephant graveyard. Never saw adult Simba.
Yeah.
But I remember a few years ago. A few years ago, I got it on my tablet with an emulator, and it was great. It was just very nostalgic.
It's stupid hard. I could never get past that skeleton bit. Yeah, it was stupid hard.
But yeah, that's the end of the Disney games.
I just thought I'd bring that up. Anyway, okay.
Number 6.
Okay, Chris. This one, you might know. This is a quote from it. Warriors, come out to play! Yeah, you know
what could that film be? What could it be? Oh, the Warriors. What a surprise.
Warriors. Yeah, this was Rockstar as well. And this came out just towards the end of PS2 again. It was quite a late game, because I remember there was talk about PS3 when it came out and things like that. That's how I can remember it. And I remember playing it. And it played really different to past Rockstar games like Manhunt or GTA. It was kind of like a street brawler, and it was like quite story based. I can't remember. Was it a prequel or it was based?
I think it
around.
Yeah, it wasn't the film itself, but it was based on. It was either a sequel or a prequel.
Yeah, but I just remember it, and it was actually quite a decent game. I think after Warriors, I think Rockstar did a table tennis game, if I'm right.
Well, that's the only way you can follow it up, really.
But yeah, that's the way I can. Yeah, and it was actually quite a solid game, and I think it's one of the few movie, from films to games that it gets overlooked quite a lot, and that's the Warriors. And I do remember it was a solid game, good story, quite a bit mature for when I played it. It wasn't 18, and I didn't quite get it because obviously I'd never seen the movies at my youth, so I didn't really understand what was happening.
Excellent.
Very niche game if you think about it, though. Quite, for Rockstar, because Warriors, it wasn't like a mainstream film. It was
it was a cult classic.
Yeah, so that's quite interesting. But yeah, that's my number 6.
My number 6, definitely another mainstream film. One of the timeless classics of our generation. The film was Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. But the game was Jedi Power Battles, which was... It was a side-scrolling beat-em-up as a Jedi. And you could pick from 5 Jedis. There was Obi-Wan, there was Qui-Gon, but there was also Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu, and 2 others that were just minor background characters, but they fleshed out the characters in that. And it was fantastic. There were so many levels you could go through.
Heard of this.
It was so good. I played it again and again and again. It was PS1 era. There were bonus levels where you could get a vehicle. You'd go through in one of those big droid army tanks, or you'd be flying on those kind of speeder, not bikes, but the droid speeder things.
Yeah.
But you could also get power-ups. You could get a power-up that made your lightsaber blade just like 3 foot longer, and you could just hit everyone. And, which they don't do enough of in these games, if you completed the game as a certain character, you unlocked another character. Like if you completed it as Qui-Gon and finally beat Darth Maul, which is no easy task because that game was really long and you get limited lives. You don't really get continues. It's one of those games that you've got to play from start to finish. You unlock new characters, so if you complete as Qui-Gon, you unlock Darth Maul. Complete as Obi-Wan, you unlock Queen Amidala. Everyone loves Queen Amidala. And it was just fantastic. It was just so much action. And it was much better than the film anyway.
What was this on then? PlayStation
1. And I played it again and again and again.
That's crazy. Okay, well, that's number 6. Right, and that was, what was that called again?
Jedi Power Battles. That put you off a bit, didn't it? You had no idea what that was.
I've never heard of it. I'm going to have to Google that and check it out.
It was awesome.
Right.
Number 5.
Okay, Chris, my number 5. Now, this is a game. It could have been higher. It could have been higher up the list. But it's a game I play quite a lot. And you can't play it anymore. It's technically the server's been taken down, so you can't play it online. And it's got quite a short campaign. But that's Battle for Middle-earth 2. If you ever played that, Lord of the Rings, Battle for Middle-earth 2.
It's a real-time strategy, wasn't it?
Yeah, real-time strategy. One of the best real-time strategy games there were. I never played the first one, which was on PC, but the second one came to console, and it was just great. It was just brilliant. It was the best use of the Lord of the Rings license to date. Because we had all these, you had Return of the King and the Two Towers and games like that, but this was the game for me that really was just great, because you could have the trees that come in and fought. You could have battles at Helm's Deep, and you could put all your elves on the walls and reenact scenes from the movie.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the console had a character cap, but on PC you could change that and mod it to your heart content to make it easier.
It had Sean Bean in it.
Sean Bean. And all the heroes and stuff. It was just a really good use of the license, and I played it countless times. I made a lot of friends online playing it, and it was just a brilliant game. I remember holding out at Helm's Deep for ages with the Elven armies.
I remember I had it, but by the time I bought it, there was kind of no online community left, and my friends had traded it in by the time I got it. But I remember them talking about the epic online fights they'd had, and apparently, if anyone summoned the Balrog, it was just all over.
Yeah, that was cool. You could summon enemies. Aragorn can summon the army of the dead, and he's just running with the army of the dead. I remember my brother set up. It was like we're going to set up our armies. He set up his army, and I walked out with just Aragorn. It's so awesome. So I had Aragorn there in his army, and it was like, "Where's your army?" I was like, "It's here." And Aragorn just started running, and the next thing, the army of the dead just appeared, and they destroyed everybody, and it was amazing. And I was like, and he rage quit after that.
Awesome.
Because I had the one ring, so like I could summon the army of the dead or whatever. I've had some ability, and I remember that. And he didn't like playing against me because I was so cunning. It's so cool. Just watching his entire army be decimated. So yeah, Battle for Middle Earth, number 5, one of the best damn Lord of the Rings games to date. What's your number 5, Chris?
All right, my number 5 is for me the highlight of the Lego games, which is still going on, but I think they passed the peak. And the highlight of the Lego games for me was Lego Indiana Jones.
Lego Indiana Jones.
It was back in the days when the Lego games didn't have kind of a storyline. They were just set levels, and those set levels were the films. And basically it had a hub world. In Star Wars it was the cantina, but in Indiana Jones it was the university, which was awesome. It was before the characters actually spoke the lines directly from the films. It's more when they just mimed everything, and there was a lot of silent slapstick humour, which I thought was very good. That was Lego's best feature before Lord of the Rings came out, and they all started using actual lines of dialogue. Or Batman came out, and they just kind of made it more storyline. It was great because it paid homage to the Lego Star Wars games, because you could find characters like C-3PO and R2-D2 hidden in the world, but it also was fantastic for Indiana Jones fans. You had all the characters like his dad in there, Short Round, Indy himself. You could unlock so much stuff. You could unlock a giant temple for him to find. You had all the iconic scenes from the films. You got to beat up Lego Nazis. You can't say that in many things.
Beat Lego Nazis.
It was fantastic. It was just a love letter to those films, and it's a shame that they don't make the Lego games the same way anymore, because they were always better back in that era. And again, much like Alien Trilogy, it didn't have the stink of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull on it. It was just the original Indiana Jones trilogy.
Yeah, wow.
And the fact that every character had certain fears, like Indy wouldn't go in any areas that had snakes.
Yeah,
because that's a character trait. And Willie Scott didn't like bugs, but she was a female character, so she could jump higher. Every character had their own special abilities, and they all worked well together.
Yeah, I mean that's it all started really. I think it was Lego Batman, and then Lego Indiana Jones was the second one, if I'm right. And then I think that was one of the first few Lego games.
No, Lego Star Wars was the first.
Oh, was it? I thought Lego Batman was.
It was Lego Star Wars, which was the prequels. Right. Then they did Lego Star Wars 2, which was the originals. Yeah. Then I think they did... It was either Batman or Indiana Jones next. And then the last kind of silent one was Pirates of the Caribbean. And technically, all of those games are fantastic. They could be put onto this list. But for me, I just think Indiana Jones was the high point of them.
All right. Well, there you go.
Number 4.
Okay, Chris, well, I'm on number 4. Surprisingly, is Lego games.
Hey!
And I actually, it could be any of it. It could be the Lego Marvel, Lego Lord of the Rings. I wasn't that keen on Lego Hobbit. And the more recent ones, now this is funny, this is like a counter reason. I actually like the newer ones compared to the older ones.
Okay.
With the voices, and they seem obviously more fleshed out. And I think I'm going to use Lego Lord of the Rings as a thing, because I know Jurassic Park World is also coming soon. Which will probably
can't wait for that
list. If they have a certain mechanic in the game, it'll probably be like number freaking 1. But Lego something basically. I just like the new game because they're really addictive. And when they did Lego Lord of the Rings, they captured the movies really well. And I think by adding in dialogue, it made it accessible to everyone. I think the slapstick stuff was all right, but I think because that's going to appeal to a certain dynamic of people that enjoy that type of humour. But where in the new ones you've got both, really, you got some slapstick and the voice acting.
I just think because they considered them to be classic movies that everyone knew already.
Yeah,
they were able to have a bit of fun with the story. But obviously, when they were doing more modern films, those are the only ones The only ones that I haven't played the Harry Potter ones.
Yeah.
But I imagine they're good.
And also it's on this because it's only one of the games that my fiancée likes playing. She loves Lego games and she loves playing them. And we've been playing through Lego Batman 2 together. We can't wait for Jurassic Park World. There's another Lego Marvel game coming out later this year. So she's really excited about those. So yeah, we really enjoy playing those games. But yeah, that's now number 4. But yeah, we've spoken enough about Lego. What's your number 4?
My number 4, well, again, it's one that we've already spoken about. Alien Trilogy.
Oh,
fantastic
right,
game.
Yeah,
fantastic game, fantastic license.
Yeah.
Everything you love from the films. And an awesome smart gun, an awesome shotgun. But you've already covered that.
Well, at least it wasn't I Am number 4, which I think
Yeah.
also got a game which was absolutely shite. Anyway, okay, that's number 4. Brilliant.
Number 3.
Number 3, Chris. We're here. It's the top 3. Okay, anything can happen. We could have the exact same games. We might not.
Probably
My
will.
number 3
Probably will.
You know what? We might not. I think one of them might be the same, but these two
Yeah, I think-
we might not have on. My number 3 is a game I played back on PS2, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant back then, and it's The Thing.
The Thing.
And, yeah, The Thing. This, I think it was either a sequel. I don't.
It
think
was a sequel.
It was, events that happened afterwards, and this game was, in a way, it had certain things that were before its time, and it had certain things that I haven't seen in games since. And one of them is like the squad AI. So you went in and there'd be four guys, and eventually you end up being on your own because your guys are either mutated. Because what you have to do like blood tests on to make sure they weren't infected, and also you have to do them on yourself because they didn't trust you. And then what would happen if you went in a room and people had their shit screwed up and there's blood everywhere, limbs and giblets, they would freak out and they'd start like freaking shaking, looking around, going all crazy. And if you don't look after them well enough, they start shooting the place up and going crazy and screaming, and like they can become a threat to you, and they'd even turn against you.
The only thing I can think that's done anything like that is XCOM, but that's only a very minor mechanic.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's a huge part of this game.
Yeah, this played a big point, and you obviously needed your mates to help you out in this to get through certain areas. And there was a great moment where you had to take cover in like this building, and there'd be monsters charging at you, to be all shooting out the windows and stuff together. The AI was actually pretty damn good in that game, back for a PS2 one. And the story itself, the monsters you faced were just as scary and creepy as the film. And I think it was great. They did a great job. It lost its way a little bit later on in the game, where you lost your weapons and you had to sneak around, and it kind of lost. It was a bit. They had to game it a bit. But I really loved that mechanic because it was really cool. Like where they'd just start going crazy, and they'd be like, sometimes you have to give them a better gun and it'll make them feel better. And it'd be like with a flamethrower or whatever. But the thing is, they could, if they lost their shit, they could turn that against you. And then you have to fight them as well as the monsters.
The Thing.
It was great. Yeah, The Thing. Absolutely brilliant. And I'd love to go back and play it again, actually. It's a really good game. So that's my number 3.
Well, again, going old school, this is another Sega Master System game here. But it's a collision of two fantastic franchises. Whereas Kingdom Hearts tried to blend a lot of stuff together and kind of failed, this blended two film franchises together, and it was amazing. It did them both proud, and that is RoboCop versus Terminator.
RoboCop versus Terminator. I actually remember that.
It was fantastic, it was spot on, and it was gory as hell. You played as RoboCop, just going down the streets of Detroit. You'd have your trusty standard gun. It was RoboCop's gun, right down to the design, right down to the way it fired. You'd have his walk. He'd be slow, but he'd be tough. And you'd just shoot the hell out of this city. And then at the end of the level, you'd have to fight the Terminator. And he'd just keep getting up and keep getting up after you blew chunks of him off. And then when you got to later levels, you were in like the OCP buildings or the Skynet buildings, and there'd be Ed 209s there. It was fantastic. And then you'd get bigger guns, you'd get rocket launchers, you'd get machine guns, and it was just insane. It was insane, and you were just as clunky as RoboCop ever was. And
I've not
it
played
even
it,
had...
but I've heard of it. Yeah.
It was fantastic. It even had his voice when he went through the options. When you went into the options menu, he'd say, "Thank you for your cooperation." And it was awesome.
Brilliant.
It was fantastic. It is, if you've got a tablet, if you can get a Sega Mega Drive emulator, you can get it for that, and it still holds up. It's so ridiculously good.
Nice. Oh, well, that's a good number 3. I think that's a good list for about 2 reasons, because the 2 games that... Have you played The Thing? Did you ever play that when it came out?
No, but I was very aware of it.
Yeah, I think maybe that's something you could look going back to, because I think it is backwards compatible with the Xbox 360. If you
Alright, only if you play Robocop versus Terminator.
I'll see if I can get it on an emulator. I'll see if I can sort that out. Okay, well, that was number 3. Cracking. Number 2, Chris. Oh, God, we're getting close to number 1. But we've got to get through number 2 first. And my number 2 game... It's a toss-up between 2, actually, this one. Really was. It was either AVP, which was one of my favourite games, because AVP get films to the game, but then did that happen before the films even happened? I don't know. So that's probably why it didn't end up on the list. I remember debating this to myself in my room. And then I decided to go with Alien Isolation.
Okay.
Was from Creative Assembly. Came out last year, and it's probably one of the best uses of a movie franchise to date.
Yeah, I love the fact that everything in that looks like it was designed in the 70s.
Yeah.
Like the original Alien film.
They nailed it. Atmosphere, lighting, visuals, sound, just the entire lot. The alien, you actually feared it, and then later on, you became to be like, it almost made that character arc where Ripley, you're running away from the alien, but when you get a flamethrower, you're like, come on, bitch, bring it on. You kind of get that feel, and there's a brilliant arc throughout this game and things that happen that keep it interesting. It's well paced. There could be moments where you could spend 15 minutes in this game hiding in a locker, and the alien will be looking for you, stalking. And it's like they captured the essence of what made the first film special in a game, and it did it well. And
yeah, is it just one alien?
Or
is that spoiler?
Oh, well, I can't really say yes or no to that, can I? So
okay. Because it seems to evoke the first film more than any of the others, more than the sequels.
Yeah. It starts off with one alien, let's put it this way, and then things escalate, but I'm not going to say to in what situation, because
that's very
don't
tempting.
overhype it in your head. It's not as mental, but it's like, holy shit, so it gets really good though, because you are on this massive space station, and what it is, they're in search. It's Ripley's daughter looking for the black box or whatever, of the ship
Nostromo.
Ripley was on, Nostromo, and finding out what happened to her mother. So it's set place during then, and it works. It actually fits in, and it could have been a film. It could have been a film. They could have.
Well, there were the DLC packs where you could play as Ripley herself and go through actual moments from the film.
Yeah, and they've done it really well. The voice dialogue options and that, they've got the original voice actors in, or the ones that they could get in, obviously, to do...
Yeah, I think the only person they didn't get was Ian Holm, because he was too busy being Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah. But it was cracking. Absolute cracking. Honestly, if you've not played Alien Isolation, I'm telling you, go out and get it. It is so cheap to pick up now, and it's definitely one of the best single-player experiences you can have in terms of horror, survival horror. It's a cracking game. So yeah, that's my number 2, Chris.
Okay. My number 2 is, well, if you listen to any of our other top 10s, you should know that this is a game that was going to show up. Star Wars Battlefront 2. Star Wars Battlefront 3 is my most anticipated game of this year, and number 2 was fantastic.
Yeah,
it built up so much from the first. You could have... The main premise of those games is you're just a grunt on the front lines. If you're playing for the Empire, you're just a stormtrooper and you go out and you shoot some rebel scum. If you're playing as a rebel, you can be a pilot, you're in one of those orange jumpsuits. But this one added so much to it. It added little bits like there were Ewoks on the Endor levels. If you were good enough, if you got enough kills and you were high enough in the rankings, you could play as one of the heroes. Whereas if you're playing for the bad guys, that's Darth Vader or Boba Fett, or if you're playing the prequels, it can be Christopher Lee as Count Dooku, or Jango Fett, or the Emperor himself. Or if you're playing for the good guys, you could be everyone. You could be Obi-Wan. You could be Princess Leia. You could be Luke. It was amazing. And that game added space combat as well, so it wasn't just on the ground. You could have these huge space battles where you had to fly from the hangar bay of your ship, have a dogfight through space, land in the hangar bay of the enemy spaceship, get out of your spaceship, and kind of sabotage theirs from the inside. It was fantastic.
Yeah. I remember playing it a lot. It was best played online. Obviously, back then I didn't have an internet connection. But yeah, it was a cracking game.
And it even had a somewhat decent story mode as well, where it was set after episode 3. All the shit had gone down from that, and it was the clones transferring from being the clone troopers to being the first kind of real batch of stormtroopers for the Empire. It was just them wrapping up all the events of episode 3. They had to subdue all the rebels and completely take control of the galaxy, which was pretty dark as well.
Yeah, good number 2 actually. That Battlefront, definitely. It's not on my list, but it would be if it wasn't for this next game, which we'll be talking about shortly.
Well, yeah. Shall we get to number 1?
Number 1.
Okay, I think we've got the same number 1.
Yeah,
I think
we've both got the same number 1.
Is it the game that I tell you I play every 2 or 3 months?
And it's a game that that was stolen from me, Chris, when my flat was broken into, and that really hurt.
Shall we say it on the count of 3? Do you want to count me in?
Yeah, okay. Okay, let's do this. 1
after 3.
2 after 3. 1
Yeah.
2 3.
Jurassic Park Operation Genesis.
Operation Genesis. Yeah.
It's the best game. We got the same number 1.
It is. This game was incredible. You could build your own park with dinosaurs in it, and then you could have loads of people come to your park, and you'd be like, yeah, look at all these people, and then go, okay, release the dinosaurs, and
delete the fence.
Eaten one by one by T-Rexes and Velociraptors. That game was freaking awesome.
That was all I would do when I was younger, just release the T-Rex. But this is a game, like I said, I play every 2 or 3 months, and now that I'm older, I can't bring myself to do that. I have to build the greatest Jurassic Park there's ever seen. I'm very safety conscious. We need visitor shelters, we need escape routes, we need turrets watching those raptors, we need high security fences. But it's a game that I'll still play and I'll still get just as much enjoyment out of.
And the fact music's really
yeah, it was all officially licensed. You've got all the characters, like John Hammond gives you your performance reviews. Dr. Alan Grant is digging up the fossils for you. Dr. Wu is in the genetics lab making the dinosaurs for you. Dr. Sadler lets you know when your dinosaurs are real. The only person who isn't in it is Jeff Goldblum's Ian Malcolm, which is a bit upsetting. But the idea behind this is the fact that he was so against Jurassic Park in the movie, even in this universe where Grant signed off on it, Dr. Malcolm would never sign off on Jurassic Park. So it kind of makes sense that he's not there. But it's fantastic. Cool. I got the PlayStation 1. I grew up playing the PlayStation 1. But then years later I found out with the Xbox original version, you could get more dinosaurs. So I scoured eBay for that, and I've got 2 copies now.
Yeah, I was really upset because I remember I used to play it, and I remember Site B, which you unlocked after beating the campaign, and I'll just like have loads of dinosaurs running around. And I'll get loads of Velociraptors and T-Rexes and Spinosauruses. And then I'll get the most pathetic little dinosaur you could possibly think of, like what was it, Gallimimus or something. And I just follow it as it ran around, running for its life. We'll have dinosaur battles.
I mean, that's the thing.
It's like T-Rexes and Spinosauruses fighting each other. That's great.
As I got older, I'd look at actual theme park maps as well, like all the ones in Florida, like Disney or Universal, and I'd base theme parks off them, like where they actually have the Jurassic Park Island of Adventure in Universal. That's loads of little theme parks separated by all this water. So I made one Jurassic Park, which was islands. There was a carnivore island, there was a herbivore island, there was the T-Rex island. Then I built a special one, a premium one, where the richest of the rich, if they wanted to pay the price, because you got to set the price, they could go on a special balloon tour of a special island just off the coast, which just had a T-Rex running wild. And wow. I'd always cut my park in half as well, and the back half would always be a safari area where everyone could go in the Jurassic Park Jeeps, the Land Rovers, and all the dinosaurs would be running free there. You could do so much with it.
I don't think of doing it like that. God, you're well more creative than me.
Oh, that's the thing. As I've got older, I thought of doing it, and I've actually got these theme park maps just in a drawer. I thought, I can emulate that. I could do this just like Walt. I even had one area that had no dinosaurs, and it was just a shopping district. I had the strip where people could go and get the Jurassic Park merchandise. I really thought it out. And I'm a person who's actually gone to an actual Jurassic Park theme park. So for me, it's perfect.
I mean, it's a cracking game. And it's the one game on this list I want to see have a sequel, especially with the success of hopefully Jurassic Park World's going to have. We may see another Operation Genesis.
I mean
they had how successful this game was.
They had Jurassic Park Builder on the tablet, which was great, and we had fun with that. But it didn't give you the freedom that you had on Jurassic Park Operation Genesis. No. So I think with the success of this game, and the success of Jurassic Park Builder, and the fact that Jurassic World's coming, and they're going to be making a Lego Jurassic World game, I hope they decide to make that Jurassic Park Builder game. That Jurassic Park Operation Genesis 2, or Jurassic World Operation Genesis.
Yeah.
Because it was just fantastic.
That needs to happen. And that's why
it had the music.
Music. Da 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 na 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 na. I love it.
Life finds a way. That's my hope. Life finds a way. It'll come back.
Life finds a way. Top 10, top 20, whatever you want to call it. That's our movies to games, and I've had great fun. Chris, have you had great fun?
I've had great fun because we both realised Jurassic Park Operation Genesis is the greatest movie game of all time.
Exactly, and that's the truth. Anyway, that was our top 10. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, thanks for listening, and we'll see you in another video soon. Bye!
Bye!